Alright, Whitetail Pastrami. So this is always a crowd pleaser. You can do this on any whole muscle cut, back strap. You can use it, but what I really like to use is top round, bottom round. The big muscle cuts in the hind end because they don't have a ton of silver skin in them. You get a lot of meat. Sarah actually shot these whitetail just like a week before we moved to Montana, and so we had a process. So I'm going to open them up and see what we got here. Usually this isn't what I like. I like to have big whole muscle cuts, like I say, the top round, bottom round, but we're going to make do with what we got. I'm going to clean these up a little bit, and we'll make something work with this. So we got any bit of silver skin you can get off, you want to get off. This has got a real big layer that runs through the middle of it. I'm going to leave it. We'll just cut around it later, eat around it later. But whatever silver skin is in the meat is going to stay in the meat. Like the cook process that we're going to do on the smoker isn't going to break this silver skin down much, so it will be there still. It's not like a roast where it gets all broke down. So anyways, the biggest, most important part of this recipe is the Instacure measurement. So this is number 1 Instacure, you can see here in the pink salt. You can buy that at any, I think I get mine from online. Number 1 Instacure from the Sausage Maker. I think you can get it from thesausagemaker.com. I forget what the website is, but the brand is the Sausage Maker. So read the directions on the package and make sure the measurement of this you're using works for the measurement of meat you have. So how it breaks down usually is about 2.5 grams of number 1 Instacure for every 1,000 grams of meat. And that's what we got here for the roughly 5 pounds of meat we have. The other important thing here is the amount of kosher salt. 10 grams of kosher salt per pound of meat. It's a half a teaspoon of sugar for every pound of meat is what it was.
That's about right,
Yep.
so it's 2.5.
So we got that. We're going to just put this in a bowl and we'll mix it all together. And then we've got a 1/4 teaspoon of celery seed, 1/4 teaspoon of caraway seed, and then a half a teaspoon of black pepper. And then that's all we got there. Later you're going to need coarse ground coriander and a little bit of brandy or red wine. That'll come later after we let this cure in the fridge for a little while. So we're just going to mix this up in the bowl a little bit. This is going to get cured in the fridge for multiple days, and then you're going to rinse this rub off. So it's going to seem like a lot, but like I say, a lot of it's going to get rinsed off, and really the most crucial things is the celery seed, the caraway seed, and those other spices. They're going to get on the meat a little bit, but the majority of the flavor is going to be the salt that's penetrating into the meat. So I'm going to put this in a Ziploc, and I like to let it sit in the fridge. So if I have a pound hunk of meat, I like to let it sit in the fridge for a minimum of 3 days. If I have a really big, like 3 pound, 4 pound hunk of like bottom round or top round, I'll let it go 5, 6 days. So really the longer it sits, the more it'll penetrate in there and you'll just get a better color.
Going to be Pablo's buddy while the 3 girls are down there getting fed. So super excited. We got a lot of changes going on. We're pumped.
has been sitting in the fridge for like 4 or 5 days, about 5 days. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and rinse the salt mixture off the outside of this, because we want to get as much off it as we can, because most of the flavor has already penetrated into the meat, and if we leave that rub on the outside, it's going to be really salty. So it's already going to be salty enough. So we're going to go ahead and rinse it. I patted them dry for now. Usually I'd let them sit in the fridge for a day to dry off a little bit more, but you don't have to do that. It's not that big of a deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just give them a little coat in red wine. You can use brandy, red wine. I've used bourbon before. What you're doing is you're just trying to give them something for that rub to stick to. The pepper and the coriander here we're going to use. So when they go on the smoker, that stuff will stick. I got a little rack here. So what I got is just some coarse ground black pepper and some ground coriander, and we're just going to give this a generous layer on here. Try to get on all sides. Do this a little differently. I do a little lighter dusting of the coriander, because this is not coarse ground, this is just stuff I had in the cupboard. So get that stuck on there pretty good. Flip this over so you can see every bit of silver skin that was on this at the beginning is going to be there through the whole process. So you want to try to use cuts that doesn't have all the silver skin on it like that, but we're working with what we got here. These aren't the cuts I would normally use for this, but. All right, so I got the smoker set at 225. I'm gonna let these go as long as they take to get to about that 150, 160 internal temperature. So yeah, we're not trying to slow cook these. We're not trying to break them down. We want the meat to be firm when we're all said and done. Check this real quick. Perfect. The other pieces were a lot smaller, so I already went ahead and pulled them off, but looking good. Just come off the smoker. They look pretty good. It took about 2 hours at 225 on the pellet grill. The smaller ones got up to about 160. I pulled them off a little early. The bigger one, that one come up to about 150. So we'll cut them open, take a look, see what they look like. I already know what this is going to taste like, so it's not really fair, but man, every time. A bit of spicy mustard. What I'll do is I'll slice a bunch of this up and freeze it, or I'll just freeze it in, chunks like this size. Slice it up later. Man, that makes good sandwich meat.